Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about that ancient, incredible bond between people and animals. And it's a connection that goes so much deeper than just simple companionship. We're talking about work, science, and even healing.
So that's the big question, right? Is this bond really something special, or are we maybe just projecting our own feelings onto them? Well, we're going to dive into some absolutely amazing stories to try and find out. All right, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll look at how we're partners in purpose, how they act as a surprising reflection of us. We'll get into some incredible bonds of loyalty and love, and finally, touch on the healing connection. Okay, first up, partners and purpose. This is where the relationship is about more than just affection. It's about getting a job done, whether that's survival or even redefining what it means to be human. So, let me introduce you to Bob Lemons. This man was a black cowboy who had this almost supernatural gift. He didn't just break wild mustangs, he could actually become one of them, using this deep, intuitive kind of understanding. So how on earth did he do it? Well, it wasn't about force, not at all. It was about respect. He would follow a herd for days, just learning their rhythms, their habits. Then, once they got used to his presence, he and his horse would literally join their ranks. And the final step? He would challenge the lead stallion, not as a man, but as another contender. He earned their trust by becoming one of them. I mean, what a masterclass in interspecies communication. And that whole idea of partnership, it's not just about intuition. It extends into scientific observation. Back in the 1960s, a young Jane Goodall used a similar kind of patience in Gombe, Africa, to understand our closest relatives, chimpanzees. You know, for months, the chimps wanted nothing to do with her. They just fled. But Goodall, she just persisted. And eventually, a chimp she named David Graybeard started to trust her. And that trust, wow, it led to a discovery that changed the world. She watched him strip the leaves off a twig so he could fish for termites. Think about that. He wasn't just using an object, he was making a tool. This completely shattered the belief that only humans did this, and it totally redefined how we think about animal intelligence. And that discovery is the perfect lead-in to our next section, a surprising reflection. Because what Jane Goodall found was really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to seeing our own complex traits, like art, culture, and society, reflected right back at us. So can a chimpanzee paint a good picture? You know, in the 1950s, this wasn't a joke. It was a serious question that challenged the entire art world, all thanks to an artist named Congo. I mean, listen to this. The famous surrealist painter Salvador Dali, after seeing Congo's art, actually said this, even comparing him to the abstract artist Jackson Pollock. Congo's work really forced people to ask a pretty fundamental question. What exactly is an artist?
And this was not just random splashing. Not at all. Congo had real technique. He understood composition, balancing the elements on the page. He respected the paper's boundaries, and he kept his colors pure, not just mixing them into a brown sludge. But maybe the most fascinating part? He knew when a painting was done. He'd stop, and you couldn't get him to add a single extra stroke. It was his creation, on his terms.
And this kind of intelligence, it goes way beyond a paintbrush. Jane Goodall's work showed us that chimpanzee communities are incredibly complex, with social hierarchies, intricate communication, and family bonds that really do mirror our own societies.
This brings us right to the emotional heart of this explainer, bonds of loyalty and love. And these stories, well, they don't really need a lot of analysis. They just speak for themselves about the powerful, unspoken devotion between people and animals.
Let's talk about the true story of Hachiko in Tokyo. Every day, he'd walk his owner to the train station. Then, one day, his owner died suddenly at work. And he never came home. But Hachiko didn't stop. For the next 10 years, every single afternoon, he went back to that station to wait. Today, a bronze statue marks the exact spot where he waited, a permanent testament to a bond that even death couldn't break. You know, sometimes that powerful connection isn't a decade-long story. Sometimes it's just a single, perfect moment. The poet James Wright wrote about seeing two ponies and feeling a joy so pure, so overwhelming, that he felt like he could just break into blossom. It's that transformative feeling, captured in a fleeting instant. And that kind of feeling has real-world power. Which brings us to our final section, the healing connection, where we'll explore the very real, very concrete ways that animals help us heal, learn, and grow.
Get this, there are over 2,300 trained dogs in the US who work as reading buddies, and their job is incredibly simple, but also incredibly powerful. They just listen.
So why does this work so well? Well, think about it. If you're a kid struggling to read, doing it in front of an adult can be really stressful. You're afraid of being judged. But a dog is the perfect non-judgmental audience. It just listens. It's a calm presence that lets a child build confidence at their very own pace.
And here's the really beautiful part. It is absolutely a two-way street. These programs don't just help kids. For the shelter animals, being read to is a calming, socializing experience. It makes them more comfortable around people, and that makes them much more likely to be adopted. They are truly, truly helping each other.
So when you put it all together, we've seen how this bond plays out. Animals are our partners in work and discovery. They're a reflection of our own humanity. They show us what unwavering loyalty and love looks like, and they are an incredible source of comfort and healing.
When you think about Bob Lemons, Jane Goodall, Congo, Hachiko, all these stories reveal a bond that is undeniably special. They show us animals as our partners, our mirrors, our healers. And that just leaves us with one last big question to chew on. What does our relationship with them, our deep need to connect with them, ultimately reveal about us?